Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and today we're going to be looking into ways in which you can refresh your routine at this time. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits and anyone new who's joining me here for the very first time. If you are, definitely feel free and consider subscribing after this video or whenever you feel called to, as I do new readings every single Monday that you don't want to miss out on for love, career, spirituality, for monthly readings, two-week readings, and so much more. So definitely feel free and consider subscribing to this kindred space. But we're going to be looking into the different piles here for what ways in which you can refresh your routine. So we're going to be looking into mundane ways, more energetic ways, spiritual ways, and so much more. So before we start looking at the piles here, I do want to quickly mention all of the ways in which you can support this channel. So one of the ways you can support this channel is through the Kindred tip jar down below, which was a huge help in being able to look at the different decks and supplies that we have here today, and I'll talk more about that in the piles. But other ways in which you can support yourself as well as support this channel is through the different spell and magical paper that I create, which I have one more set out right now for Ostara. These are handmade by my own two hands with locally foraged ingredients and 100% recycled papers. It is very eco-friendly and great for all your green witch magic. And I also do provide private readings as well for snail mail readings. These are open for April right now, and they are so much fun, very treasured. They are typewritten on a vintage typewriter and wax sealed closed. I have tons of reviews on my Instagram and more information down there below as well in the description for you to check out on all of those. Thank you so much for listening to the different ways you can support this space, as it really does make a difference, as you'll see through these piles. But we're going to go ahead and look at these piles now. So here for pile number 1, we have this cute little geode. It is super sparkly on the inside and has this little cavern of clear quartz. So that is pile number 1. For pile number 2 here, we have a mandala stamped and etched within a palm stone of selenite. Very flashy. So that is pile number 2. And lastly here for pile number 3, we have a little cluster of this really beautiful stone, very subtle stone that is called Celestite or Celestialite. I never do say it right, but I will have it linked down below with the rest of the timestamps and how it is spelled. But there is pile number 3, very beautiful nonetheless. So those are all 3 piles. Definitely feel free, as always, to take a deep breath here with me to really center your energy, to ground yourself and your intuition within these piles. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together here now. So as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles. You can choose 1 pile, 2 piles, all 3 piles, flip-flop, change your mind, see whatever comes through for you and your intuition. All of the timestamps will be down below, as well as within the chapter marks of this video. And as I mentioned before, a great way to support this space is through the Kindred tip jar, the snail mail readings, and the magical paper that I create. But you can also check out my Instagram as a way to stay connected with me, as I absolutely love talking with each of you, and my DMs are open for just chatting about the different piles and the different insights that you have, or just tarot in general. I love to have those conversations, so definitely feel free to check any or all of that out. And we're going to go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this little crystal quartz geode, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to set it down here for you for your reading here today, as we're going to be looking into how you can refresh your routine at this time. So it doesn't mean you have to completely upend your life or do anything drastic, but there could be subtle things or big things that can make a really big difference in your life. So we're going to be doing that using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as a couple different oracle decks in Lenormand. And then we're also going to be using the new tarot deck that I recently received, which is the Gentle Tarot. And I've been wanting this deck for ages, and it works perfectly for this reading, as with the deck it came with a couple of extra cards, and one of them is the spread that we're kind of going to be using today, or at least as inspiration. So here we are with the spread that we're going to be using, so you can go ahead and screenshot that if you want, or anything if you'd like to use it in your own practice. But with that said, we're going to be looking into first the card to look into the biggest, like the biggest energy of your current routine right now, the root of your routine, the things that are like running your routines right now. And then we'll look even deeper as we go. So feel free to send your energy in, get settled, grab some tea, some water, a nice drink. My older sister even was saying that she likes to do like different chores and things around the house. So feel free to do wherever and whatever you'd like to. But let's look first into your first card here to look into what the root of your current routine is. What is the root of your current routine here, group 1? Okay, so we've got the Three of Wands. Such a beautiful card. I absolutely love this one. It's about looking beyond the horizon, seeing what else there is in store, and looking beyond what is easily obtainable and seen. So you definitely have this adventurous spirit, or this feeling of wanting to adventure or gain a new perspective in some way. So your routines may be more creative, you may be networking with a lot of people right now, you may be talking to a lot of people within your relationships, you may be making new friends, or these are at least things that are on your horizon that you're wanting to get to. There may be a bit of hesitancy there as well, right? I always think of this, like, especially when I see this one, it's like they almost want to like dive off the cliff or just stay there hesitantly at the edge. But there is a choice there, so it's up to you to see how this is specifically relating to your current routines. But that's our first card. Our second card is what you can start to release from this routine. Things that are kind of just not really working with you anymore, are kind of drying out your roots, drying out the things that you want to continue to bring, maybe even beyond this horizon. So there's things you just don't need to bring with you anymore. Stuff you've outgrown, or stuff that it's just sitting around. So let's go ahead and see where that energy lies for you, what you are ready to release. All right, that one just jumped right out of the pile. So here we are with the Seed of Thunder, which I just think is absolutely perfect for you in this specific spread, because as I mentioned earlier, there is this hesitancy that can come from this root. So the root of a lot of the things that are maybe making your routines hard to change and shift towards the ones you want to start bringing in these new energies, the things that you want to get to on the horizon, you've got to start building a bridge to get there. And at the moment, I feel like there's a lot of hesitancy. You aren't building a bridge, you're just hoping that you can just fly over it, right? That it'll just catch you and make it there. But making plans to actually make this happen is going to be really important for you. And so what to release is the idea that it's just going to fall into your lap, that you're going to make new friends without asking, or going to events or going to things that will make that happen. So there is a little bit of action that a bit of a nudge that's happening with these two cards. The Seed of Thunder is also known as the Page of Swords, and they always are like holding a sword and being very hesitant on what they're supposed to do with this sword. So there is this also awkwardness possibly, and it's moving through the awkwardness, releasing the awkward feelings that you may have towards these new relationships, these new networking opportunities, new career opportunities, wherever it may lie, wherever these new routines that you want to start bringing in are coming in from. There is this feeling of moving through that awkwardness, because that awkward phase will fade if you allow yourself to kind of move through it. So our third card that we're going to start looking into here is what to embrace. So we've already looked at the root and what to release. So what are you going to embrace now on this new journey of experiences and new horizons in your corner? So let's look at what you might be. There's a couple of cards just trying to fly out. I'm just looking for one here, but I want to make sure that felt right. Okay, so let's see what you have to embrace. Okay, this is such a beautiful card. Isn't this entire deck absolutely beautiful? I'm probably going to say that with all of them, but here we are with the Harvest of Thunder, also known as the King of Swords. So you have another sword card, and or a thunder card in this case. You're moving from the seed of thunder to the harvest of thunder. That's a big leap. That is a leap of evolution that showcases that you're going to be moving into a place where that awkwardness moves away, that you feel so much more comfortable, right? You have this one leaping around, feeling curious, trying new things, just trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. And then you have them like sitting here, really just sitting in the sun, taking things in, not needing to go so quickly. So I think what to embrace is just knowing that awkwardness is going to pass, knowing that you are going to be able to see beyond that horizon, right? We've got this really beautiful rainbow that showcases that sort of in a symbolic way. And I also think they have a really clear plan, right? When you're looking at them, they don't seem like they need to hurry towards their plan. They don't seem like, oh my gosh, I need to get there, I need to do this, I need to, call these people, and I need to talk to that friend and all these things, right? Like I said, you're going to have to like plan and make sure to start nudging yourself that way. But it also doesn't feel like they are trying to go too quickly or too fast. So I think with this card, what to embrace is knowing that you're going to move through that awkwardness, that you're going to be able to head towards these new horizons that you're very excited about in your career, in your personal life, new hobbies that you want to take up, whatever these new routines are. I think that they're very much available to you, but you don't have to try to do anything drastic to make it happen. Does that make sense? There's like a really nice balance between these two cards, to let go of the hesitancy, but also to make sure that you're not having to push yourself off the cliff. Just nudge yourself gently towards the surface of these new horizons. So that is really sweet. These are the 3 cards that we have first off for what to embrace, what to release, and the root of the current routines that you have. But I want to look now into a card here in the center to look into, as it mentions in the spread, what power of yours you have over the situation to call in. Also known, for me, I feel like it's a card to just showcase like what you're going to gain most from these new routines. So take it however you feel. But we're going to go ahead and pull you one of these. So feel free to send your energy in and we're going to see. Okay, so here we are. Beautiful one. This is such a good one to get in any situation where you're looking for new routines. What is ready to go so I can grow? So what you're going to have as your own personal power is that you have the power of the fire element on your side. You have the power of being able to burn away what doesn't work for you, and also really quickly or even rather less quickly is really what I'm getting, because right when I was talking about that harvest of thunder, they want to make things happen, but it's slow and steady. So in the way that I see this card is that yes, you could just quickly burn away your old routine, or you could slowly alchemize it. And I think that that's going to be more useful to you in this situation, is to slowly burn away the old crops, thinking of like pruning your bushes, or like if you're taking care of a plant, getting rid of like the brown leaves, so you have more room for growth. But you don't have to do it quickly all at once. Like in the fire element, it kind of makes me think like you're putting like one more log on the fire versus trying to make a huge bonfire or a quick flash. So with that said, we're going to pull 2 more cards, a watercolor affirmation, and then we're going to get their last little details here. The 2 cards we're going to pull here we're going to look more into the very mundane details. We're going to take these very literally and look into mundane things that are going to be shifting and changing within your life versus the energetics. So feel free to send your energy in through time and space as always. And here we go. Group 1, what is changing in the more mundane physical sense within Group 1's routines in their life at this time, shifting into a new space for them to continue to grow? So Group 1, what do we got coming in? Okay, any more? Alright, so we've got one more here. Alright, so you got the Rider for one of your cards. This is also the very fast, quick-witted Rider. So this has the number 1 as well as the 9 of Cups or the 9 of Hearts showing up here at the bottom. A very fruitful, very exciting energy. This also, for me, maybe in a more mundane sense, this usually can talk about a new hobby. It can talk about a new hobby. Sorry, just dropped that there. But it can talk about a new hobby that may be coming in, because you have this little harp over here and they usually are using their voice. This is talking about sending letters, sending messages. So on top of music and hobbies in that way, a new thing that you can start heading into as well is singing in the shower, really raising your voice in some way, making your voice more known in conversation. And also you might be a messenger at this time, right? We have that 3 of Wands of looking to the horizon, but it can also talk about networking. So I do think you might be meeting new people and really getting out of the house, getting out of your typical space, to kind of having the curiosity to explore new avenues in both your hobbies and in the way that you want to communicate with people and who you want to communicate with. Your other card here is the Key. It says the number 33 here, as well as the 8 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles has a lot to do with work. 33 for me personally is a lot to do with creativity. So see how that works for you. You might see 3s differently. You maybe think of it as a literal sense. So maybe it could be March 3rd. Maybe something changed on that specific day, or even March 8th. But it is a key here, and the key represents a key to a new opportunity, a new routine in your life, maybe a new cycle in your life coming in. The key also represents like good luck, good fortune, and also like a literal key. So maybe you're getting a new house, or maybe you're moving into a new routine that has something to do with unlocking something on a very specific level. Maybe it's even having and allowing yourself more privacy in your life. So having a journal, maybe going to a therapist, having time to unlock things within your life that don't have to be completely open to the entire public. So see how that resonates for you as well. But I really do like that privacy, that secrecy, that sacred, protected space for you to vent in. So we're going to go ahead and pull you a watercolor affirmation, and then we're going to look into the tiny little details that are going to give us a lot more subtlety and those small little bits and bobs on top of each of the cards. But if you're enjoying this reading so far, it would be amazing if you could give this video a like. It really does help this channel so much, and I appreciate it. But let's go ahead and look at your watercolor affirmation for these new routines that you'll be shifting into, something to affirm yourself in or to remind yourself of. Okay, so here we are with you are manifesting. I love this for the cards that you've got, with the 3 being like your main thing and finally heading towards a goal of yours. The 1 even has that foolish curiosity kind of energy. These even kind of reflect each other. But so I do think you are manifesting something right now, but to do that you have to make space. You have to allow yourself to vent a little bit of energy out of you, because a lot of it is kind of still banging around behind the scenes and maybe needs to be journaled out or have a better place to vent specifically for you. So we're going to go ahead and move on to your charms. I hope you're enjoying this so far. Definitely send your energy into these. They're very shiny, very fun. So let's go ahead. So group 1, your routine changes. Okay, quite a few here. Okay, so we have 1 letter. We have the letter C showing up here towards the bottom of the horse on the rider. Maybe something that you're sending a message to. Maybe you're sending a message to a best friend, because we do have the best friend charm. So again, I do think like I said at the beginning, there is that networking feeling, this feeling of wanting to make new friends or wanting to network with new coworkers or something like that. But you have to take the initiative for that to happen, possibly for a new best friend to come in with the letter C, either in their name, maybe a place that they live, something like that. You also have the guiding light charm. I really love this one. It makes me think of like a lighthouse, a really bright light, a flashlight, shining light on something. And when I see this card, you can see, and I'll try to pick it up here without dropping everything else, you obviously can see the reflection on the water and this feeling of like something leading your way. So I think really listening to your intuition, really listening to the guiding light in you is going to give you a lot more direction than you had before, because I think you could get in your head really easily and kind of block off the opportunities coming in. Then we had this charm fall out right away. Like I just had this immediate feeling to pull this one out, and it fell between the Harvest of Wands, or the Harvest of Thunder rather, and the Key here. And it is all about commitments, things that you have, promises towards people, contracts towards people, or things like that you might be unlocking. So there could be a marriage, there could be things more literal like that. But within your routine, especially since with the Harvest of Thunder, it's all about making plans and making plans really well, I think that you're really going to just mostly be unlocking a way to create more space for the plans that you want by working through those emotions, because we also have the bead here that represents the solar plexus energy center. So see how that resonates as you move through this. That's a fire energy coming through, despite the fact that we have a lot of air and communication. So maybe just putting fire underneath the air, giving the fire, like, you know, when you have to start a fire and you have to like give it some air. I think that's what you're getting. That's where your plans are coming in. The last few charms that we have here is we have what is ready to go so I can grow, and under the word can, I was going to say letters, we have the bottle tap charm, and this one I always think is like untapped potential that either can fizzle out when you open it because you waited too long, that it kind of went flat, or you let that pressure build and then you like kind of let it all out. So I do think that you've been maybe letting the pressure build, and that's why it's important to have a steady fire instead of letting the pressure build to be like, okay, and then do something really impulsive. I think your routines are going to be better suited to do things that are more structured. The last few charms we have here, again, more reason for that is we have the overwhelmed charm. This is like an overwhelmed or overstretched situation where you're feeling possibly like, again, you can't make that first step, like I'm just too overwhelmed by it. But then we have the healing kind of self-care charm. So I do see you really releasing that and healing that to get to that new routine. So those are all of your charms. A very interesting reading for sure. See how this resonates. Different routines mean different things for people, right? So there are the mundane sides of routines, but there also are the things that help us lead us in energetically towards the things that we want and how you can shift that perspective. So I hope you got a little bit of both of that through this reading. If you did enjoy it, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much. And also let me know in the comments down below how this resonated for you. I love hearing your thoughts. If you haven't already, definitely feel free and consider subscribing to this channel in this space. I put out new readings every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, so much more. There's so much to check out. So definitely feel free to go ahead and check those out or subscribe to this space. And if you would like to support this space even further, definitely consider checking out the Kindred tip jar down below. It helps me so much to be able to get these decks. You guys definitely helped so much in me being able to get this gentle tarot deck, so I appreciate you so much in using that space and also using the other and checking out rather the other offerings that I provide. Thank you so much for being here and checking out your new routines here with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 2, if you've decided to choose this little mandala palm stone of selenite, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it down right here for you so you can see it during your reading today, as we are going to be looking into how to refresh your routine, not only to look into the energetics of what is going to be shifting and changing, but also some of the mundane things as well that might be shifting and changing, to just give you a little insight on different directions you could take, so you can take some of it and leave others. But we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as the Prairie Majesty Oracle, the Celtic Lenormand, and the also new deck in my collection, which is the Gentle Tarot. I'm freaking out. This has been a deck I've been wanting for so long, and the people who have been using the Kindred tip jar, as well as checking out the different offerings that I provide, were a big reason in why I was able to purchase this. So thank you so much for all of the support there. But the reason why I also wanted to use the Gentle Tarot today is because it actually did come with a couple of spreads, and we're going to be using and tweaking a little bit this specific spread today because I feel it really works with a new routine. So we're going to be looking into first the root of the routine you're currently in and how that may be shifting or changing. You might be keeping some of it, rewiring some of it, changing the route of it. Then we're going to be looking into something to release from your current routine, something to embrace into a new routine, and then a couple of other cards that we're going to go into. So if you haven't already, definitely feel free to get settled in whatever way works for you, grabbing a cup of tea, some water, some coffee, a nice snack, a meal. Some of you have even let me know, and my sister is one of them, has let me know that she likes to do different chores around the house. So see whatever works for you, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So feel free to send your energy in through time and space here now, and we're going to go ahead and start looking for you, group 2. So first off, we're going to look into the root of the current routine you have. So an energy that's kind of ruling your entire routine right now, and maybe looking into why that may be shifting or changing as we move forward through the cards. So here we are with the 8 of Stones. This is such a beautiful card. I'm going to say this so many times, I did in the last one, but I love all of these cards. But this one talks about high focus, putting all of your energy, tunnel vision sometimes, but it can also talk about really great artistry, putting a lot of your focus into your goals, your dreams, into your work ethic, into your hobbies and things like that. So see how that resonates to your current routine at this moment. Maybe you're putting a lot of your energy into your career, your finances, your work, your material goods. This can also be even into your home or your place of business, wherever it may be, but or even your hobbies, but wherever that may be lying, that is sort of the root of everything in your routine right now. Very work-oriented, very detail-oriented. So now that we know the root, we're going to go ahead and start looking into what to begin to release from this. Maybe, like we said, we want to shift your routine. It's not that you can't keep this work ethic. This might still actually end up being a really good thing for you, but what could be useful to release or change up at this time about this routine for group 2? So we have that 8 of Stones. What is changing and releasing at this time? Okay, so we have the 7 of Wands. Very interesting combination having the 7 of Wands and the 8 of Stones in this. Because as we look at these, you can see 2 very different energies. One is like work ethic, go, getting things done. And the 7 of Wands does represent sort of getting things done, but it also represents making sure to do it from an empowering way. So I think something to release from your routine is making sure that you look at your routine and kind of analyze it and see where are there moments that are firing you up. Like, what is it in your routine? Like, if you have specific hobbies that are firing you up, making you really happy, very fulfilled, then keep on going, because that's filling your cup. But things to release are the ones that aren't filling your cup anymore, the ones that are sort of kind of just floating around, making you feel bad, making you feel guilty that you haven't done them yet, or that are coming from a place of like, especially if you're like in your work environment, if you're feeling overworked or like you just need to say no, if there are things that you're doing within your work that make you not feel good about what you're doing, that kind of make you feel sleazy, or like you're trying to like mess with people or whatever it may be. I just feel like there's something in your life that is currently in your routine that's making you feel kind of crappy about your job or your hobbies or this work ethic. And what it is that you'll be releasing at this time that's going to be really empowering for you is the feeling that you can't say no, that you're not allowed to say no, because you are allowed to say no. There are ways in which you can say no. You can tell off a coworker if they're getting in your way. You can tell off your boss if like they aren't giving you the lunch hour that you're supposed to have, or they're not giving you, things that are in your contract. Wherever the displacement may be, it's just reminding yourself that you are allowed to say no, that no is a very sacred word, and I feel like we just don't use it enough these days, because we either feel bad or guilt or shame from that, and there really shouldn't be any. So I think releasing that guilt and just taking back that power of the word no is going to be really useful to you. So let's go ahead and look at something to embrace now. So what is something to embrace here in a new routine for you moving forward with this sacred no energy, with this feeling of being able to still work, but work because you want to, work because it enlightens you. So I want to see what's coming in here. So we kind of got two that kind of fell out, right? We had the Eight of Thunder, but then we also had another one that sort of flipped up and turned on its side. So first off, we have the Eight of Thunder, like I mentioned before, but you also have the Harvest of Wands, also known as the King of Wands. The King of Wands, or the Harvest of Wands, is like the top dog in their suit. They have all of the power. They are the boss kind of energy. And then what I have here is sort of this feeling that like you don't have a way out, or you're kind of consumed by your thoughts, right? This is sort of anxious sort of thoughts. This is also like limiting beliefs. So when you have the Seven of Wands and the Eight of Thunder together, it's like the Seven of Wands is so open, so free, and so powerful. And then something to embrace is to continue to embrace that power and release that overwhelm that you may be getting from these thoughts. And also maybe to start to embrace a new leadership position as well, because the Harvest of Wands is a leader. It's like a wolf pack. And right now they're like calling the other wolves. They are a leader of the pack, but they also, look after the pack. And so I think that you might be moving up in a new promotion, or you're moving up in a skill, or something that you're working towards in your new routine. And I think that might be moving into a leadership position, or just a higher role than you were expecting in a project or something that may be happening around you. And I think there could be a little bit of fear or anxiety or limiting beliefs that you don't think that you could be this like alpha energy, but I do think that you have the skills within you, because we got the Harvest of Wands, we got the Seven of Wands. You definitely feel inspired to do it, but the limiting beliefs are coming from the feeling of that sacred no, that coming from that feeling of lacking in skill, or people telling you that you lack in skill and you believing it. So these are just limiting beliefs that I think are going to be really useful to you to start writing them down when they come up, or noticing them when they come up. Whenever you have a moment where you feel like you can't move forward towards the things that you want because of fear, because of belief, write that belief down and start to dissect it. Start to see where the root of that comes from, because I do think that it's usually most of the time not coming from ourselves, but rather outside sources that have just sort of weaseled their way in. So those are the cards that we have so far for things to embrace, release, and the root of your current situation within the routines that you have. But let's go ahead and begin looking at your next card here. So for this one in the spread, it says that it is what power you have to call on. So this, you could see this as a power to call on or a device, but I also see this card as sort of like the best that you can get from this new routine by embracing this new routine. So let's go ahead and see where that comes in. So group two, what do you have coming in within your, like, that's changing everything up, that's shifting the whole perspective here? I'm trying to figure out which way they want to be shuffled. Sometimes it's one way, sometimes it's the other. So we're looking for that new power to call in, why you're going to be gaining more power within your routine, and why this routine is going to be the best for you. So let's see what we got. Okay, this is one of my favorite cards in the deck. When I first saw it, I was like, a worm. But worms are so powerful, but we just don't realize the power that they hold sometimes because of the judgment that we put on them. And this is all about judgment, limiting beliefs, things that people have kind of judged and placed upon you that are trying to shame you or guilt you out of the power that you hold, the leadership role that you hold, the skills that you hold, because I think that people are trying to put you down. And so here we have, do I accept myself without judgment? It's the earthworm, and it's breathe. It's giving yourself space. So by going through this process, by having those sacred no's, by asking for that vacation time, by asking for the raise, or moving into a leadership role, or moving up your skills towards something that's a higher mastery in your skills of some sort, I think it's going to remind you of the power that you have. It's going to move you into that space of confidence and that space to breathe. It's going to give you more breathing room, because you're not having to work to feel self-worth. It's going to come from within in a very different way. So I really, really like this as your main card here coming through for that. I just feel like it's going to be so refreshing, this new routine. You're just going to feel like it's such a breath of fresh air. And I think you're going to find it so, like I said, refreshing, honestly. So we're going to look into, as we've looked so far, into quite a lot of like very specific energetics, but now I want to look into these cards to look very specifically into mundane things in your life. So like hobbies that may be shifting, or we're going to see as we go. You're going to see what I mean, but we're going to look at these very literally. So feel free to send your energy in as always. And we're going to look into 2 cards here for group 2. For things that are literally changing and shifting. So, okay, we've got first the number 16 as well as the 6 of cups. So this can be nostalgia, having maybe a movie night, watching old movies that you watched as a kid, or a previous version of yourself reconnecting with an inner child, those sorts of things. But this is also the stars card, and the stars card is about seeing things to a very great distance, seeing things way beyond. So this can be talking about planning. Maybe getting a planner would be really useful to you at this time, because you'd be able to map out the things that you're looking to do, especially since you might have new projects and things like that where it's gonna feel overwhelming otherwise. The last thing that I was also gonna say with this one is that there is this feeling of narrowing in on the problem, or narrowing in on things. So like I said, looking at those beliefs that are limiting to you at this time, and really seeing them, releasing the judgment that you had these beliefs at any time, or where they came from, and really just mapping them out and seeing them for what they are. The other thing that I see with this too is that same feeling that we have, that tunnel vision, that closing things in. So I don't think something to release from your routine here is that your work ethic is bad. It's just being exploited for your work ethic that is, it's not really working for you. So let's go ahead and see one more. We're going to look literally as well as energetically at these. I don't think that was it. So let's keep going. Group 2. Okay, one just launched themselves. All right, so let's see here what you got. So it seems, okay, you've got the clouds. So this could be literal cloud gazing. This could be getting outside. This could be looking at the much bigger picture, right? We have the number 6 coming through here again, as well as the King of Wands, which we technically have here of the Harvest of Wands. So that's repeating itself. So it may have to relate to this card. We do have sort of 2 higher and lower roles. So again, at that leadership position showing up, or moving or evolving up in your career, or moving up a step in a ladder of some sort, or a skill of some sort. The 6 is showing up again, so it could be something related to your childhood that you're moving up in, expanding upon. But like I said, in a literal sense, maybe things to change up in your routine is going to the beach, watching the clouds, getting out in nature, going for a picnic even, by cloud gazing, things like that. Because we have 2 cards that are very expansive and very specific to the sky, both day and night. So I do see this feeling of being able to really look to the sky, to the stars, to a bigger picture, and that's actually going to help to your routine to see a bigger picture, especially since you've been looking at those little details. So a little bit of both is going to be really useful to you. So with all of your cards here, I want to pull one final one with a watercolor affirmation, and then we're going to pull your charms to get those smaller, nuanced details, and you'll see what I mean when we pull them. But if you're enjoying this reading so far, it would be amazing if you could give this reading this video rather, a like. It really does help the channel so much, and I appreciate you for doing so. So let's go ahead and see your final card here before we move on to your charms with an affirmation to help you with these routines, to give us a little bit more information, or just to affirm you in your power. So let's see, group 2. All right, we've got 2 of them here. The first one is ground yourself in love. So this is the first sort of love or passionate kind of related message. And then we had find, seek, and connect. And this again shows me more of that star map feeling. So I do think that you're going to kind of do like a brain map to sort of untangle some of those self-limiting beliefs, and release some of that judgment that you have on yourself to ground yourself back in love. So I really do like both of those showing up, just affirming some of the things that we've already been seeing here. And with that, ground yourself in love, and the 6, as well as the 6 of Cups here. And you even had 16, so there's like 6 showing up here, which for me is just a really big harmony number. But you can see it however you do want to. That can also represent the Devil card, which does have a lot to do with self-limiting beliefs. But with ground yourself in love, it's making me think too, how would you love, your younger self, giving love back to your younger self, or just reminding yourself of like, how would you speak to a child and give a child love and nourishment? So why not give that same nourishment and love back to yourself? So fitting in more self-love into your routine could be really useful, or inner child work. So let's go ahead and see your final messages here with the charms. Feel free to send your energy in, and we're going to look for group 2, changing up their routine. Not too many. We had the sewing machine charm fall off to the side, so it may just not have been related to a certain card, but that might have to relate to your hobbies. But it also does showcase intense focus as well, to make sure you don't hurt yourself. So there is that same feeling of making sure you're also not working yourself to the bone. We also had the number 4 showing up here on the side, so that may relate. It could be even the 4 of Wands, celebrating a win of some sort. Let's go ahead and zoom you in so you can see a little bit closer here. But you also got here in the self-limiting beliefs of the 8 of Swords here, or the 8 of Thunder. You have the charm of what I always think is like looking back at old memories of like really cute memories of joy, and reminding yourself of that same joy as a child. So again, that same message that I mentioned before about giving yourself love like you would a child could be really useful again in combating those. With the leadership position that could be coming in, travel may be involved, as we do have the plane. It doesn't have to be specifically really big forms of travel like a plane across the entire ocean or something, but it could be something more related to traveling in packs, or moving from one building to another, or something like that, moving up the ladder, or even traveling that way. So see how it resonates. But we have a huge cluster of charms over here near the old routines that you had, as well as the ones you're looking towards, both having intense focus. So I'm not surprised that you have a lot of details. So I'm going to sort through here and just do these kind of one at a time. So we have here this one, which always makes me think of just like shedding light on something that you see it and it just looks like a blue bead, but then you're shedding light and seeing the full picture. So again, that's been coming up a lot. We have steering your own ship. So again, being the captain, a new leadership role, being able to steer where you're going and navigate without anyone trying to get in your way. We have the locket charm. This one has little flowers and stuff on it, so it could have spring energy. For those of you who are moving into spring, it could be that you're unlocking this new leadership role or new routine in the spring season to unlock something possibly having to do with memories again. We also have, this one fell upside down. It is a penny in case it resonates for anyone, from 2014. But we have the chromosome charm, so it can be something that you're also changing up within your body or your health. The other things that we have here is we have the lampshade charm. So this is, I always thought it looked like, and my mom especially thought it looked like a little lampshade, as well as a flower, but I always see this now as a lampshade. So it's like, what are you putting beneath the shade, not shedding light on, trying to blur into the surface of, or blur into like hidden details, basically is what I'm trying to say. Is like, what are you trying to hide and not shed light on around your work environment? And these beliefs keeps coming up over and over. And then we have the bird, which the bird is about wanting to be set free, but you can see they're hesitating. They haven't actually made that step forward. They're not flying, they're hesitating. So what are you hesitating about making this new move into a leadership role, and where is that hesitation coming from? Again, I think your biggest thing that's going to be helpful for you is to release the judgment, to give yourself breath, and to make space for these new routines, the thing that you're going to need to do is first analyze the ones you currently have and where they're limiting you in terms of being exploited, in terms of where you want to move up, in terms of what you're looking ahead towards, and possibly even nostalgia. So see how those all connect and see the spider web that's growing there. And I think that's going to give you most of those details. So I hope you enjoyed this reading so far, or rather all the way to the end here. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to give this reading a like by liking this video. It helps so much on this channel and I appreciate it. Also, let me know in the comments down below how this resonated for you. It's always really fun to see how you see all of the different things connect, especially with your routines. They're all varied, so I love to see how it collectively works for you. And also, if you're enjoying this reading and the readings that I have been putting out recently, definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already, as I put out all different types of readings for spirituality, love, for career, for different ways in which you are attractive, or in the dreams that you have. There's so many different avenues that I play around with here, so definitely feel free to subscribe or check out the other readings that I have. And if you would like to help in supporting this space to get new decks and to help financially support this space, then definitely feel free to check out the Kindred tip jar below. Like I mentioned earlier, it really does make a difference in that we can get new decks and new supplies for these readings. You can also check out different ways to support yourself through the different readings that I provide and other magical goodies. On my Instagram, I always have all of my offerings also down below in the description for you to check out for snail mail readings, as well as the magical paper that I create. So with that all said, long-winded end here, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found new spaces in which to play around with your routine, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 3, if you've decided to choose this little cluster of Celestite or Celestialite, again, I really am not sure how to exactly say it, then this is the pile for you, a beautiful stone nonetheless. Today we are going to be looking into the routine that you have currently and how you can start to shift it energetically, as well as some mundane cards as well, to look into all different sort of ways you could shift and change this, as it is a collective reading, so take different bits and pieces and see how it resonates for you. But we are going to be using the charms. We're also going to be using the watercolor affirmations, as well as the Prairie Majesty Oracle deck and the Celtic Lenormand cards here, and I'm very excited to announce that we're also going to be using the Gentle Tarot. This is one of the tarot decks that I've had on my wish list for ages, and this is the linen edition, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been using the Kindred tip jar. It has made a huge difference in me being able to get different decks and supplies like the Prairie Majesty Oracle and this deck specifically. So those who have been using it, as well as checking out the different offerings that I provide, it really does make an impact on this space and be a great way to support this space. So thank you to everyone who helped make that happen. And the reason why we're also going to be using this one specifically for this reading is we are going to be using one of the suggested spreads that they actually have provided within this deck. So this is called the Extra Love spread, but I'm going to tinker with it a little bit for today's reading. So we're going to be looking into the root of a specific of your specific routine right now. So the things that are currently kind of driving your routine. Then we're going to look into something to release, something to embrace, and then we're going to look even deeper with this specific card. So we'll see how it comes through. Let's go ahead and get started. So if you are settled and ready to go with a nice meal, a cup of tea, my older sister even suggested with our last video, she was like, I even love to do some cleaning at the time. So maybe cleaning even could be a great thing for you to do. Whatever really settles you and gets you ready to go for this reading, definitely feel free to do that now, as we are going to go ahead and get started. So feel free to send your energy in through time and space, Group 3, and let's see what's coming in for the root of your current routine. So we may be keeping parts of this routine, right? There's not always things that we have to fully get rid of, but I do think there can be things that we may be shifting. So you got the Lovers card. How beautiful for your current routine. Your current routine apparently has a lot of love involved, or maybe self-love practices. It may be things that are very involved around family, with relationships in your life, with people in your life that are very close to you, close-knit friends, romantic relationships, other sorts of types of relationships. What you can name so many different kinds, from family, friends, and loved ones. So that's what I'm seeing here, is that's like the main focus. There also is a feeling of harmony that comes from the Lover's card. So I would say that either you currently feel like there's a lot of harmony within your current routine, that there's not a lot of things that you need to change and tinker, or at least that your relationships are very much at the forefront of the things that you are doing. That can be good things. That can also mean that you're being very selfless, people pleasing. So we're going to see how that comes through with your other cards, especially with this next one, where we're going to look into what to release from your routine. So like I said, we may not be entirely changing this, but it may be shifting and tinkering with it. So let's go ahead and see what to release currently from your current routine. What's something to release to empower your routine and to change things up a little bit in a more empowering way for you? So, okay, we've got the Flower of Thunder showing up here, so also known as the Queen of Wands, but we have the Flower of Thunder. It's this really beautiful eagle really spreading their wings and opening themselves wide. So what I'm getting from this Flower of Thunder, like I mentioned with the Lover's card, and what I was getting intuitively, is there is this feeling of people pleasing, of trying to be selfless and do selfless acts. And what the Flower of Thunder is showing is to empower this space, is to release the idea that you aren't allowed to have your own space in your own time, right? That you have to be able to fill your own cup. So you see this Flower of Thunder, they're trying to almost hold all this love and all this harmony for everyone else. And then you see this disruption happening down here, this electricity, this resentment, these things that are building up, this guilt, that maybe you're not doing enough for people, whatever it may be. There is this feeling of like just a lot of pressure, and it's just ready to burst. So I do see clear communication, clear boundaries, making a stand and being like, okay, I want to be there for you, but I have to be there for myself first, because if not, then I'm going to have resentment build, that I'm going to have guilt build, that there's going to be so much pressure I can't hold it up. So that's what we have showing up here with this. So I'd say what to release from your routine right now is this feeling of needing to hold harmony for everyone else, hold space for everyone else but yourself. So let's see what else there is coming in though. So this next card is going to be what to embrace about this new routine. So we already know things to embrace is obviously speaking clear boundaries, those sorts of things. But let's see what else might be coming through, or if that's going to just strengthen that same point. So let's see, group 3, things to embrace about a new routine. So we have the Hanged One. Very interesting with everything else. It doesn't fully align with the same thing we were getting with the Flower of Thunder. So what I would say is, while embracing these new boundaries, the things that you can also embrace is a new perspective on life, or showcasing a new perspective. I'm also seeing such silliness from this. Like, I'm taking this card really literally, like getting on the swings, getting on a bike. I don't know, I just am feeling like these really fun kindred moments that you'd have as like a child. There is something like that, this very carefree nature to it. The other thing that the Hanged One also talks about is suspension, right? Suspending yourself in the air, kind of like you would have like on the very top of a roller coaster before you start heading down. So this is sort of showcasing that feeling of like that giddiness that you get in your stomach before you go down in the roller coaster. I don't know if everyone loves roller coasters, but that feeling that you get at the very top of the swings before you swing back. What I'm getting from this is just allowing yourself to lighten your load, or being able to come into more of a symbiosis with the boundaries that you're making. Obviously, you don't have to be like, I won't talk to you, I'm going to do my own thing, I'm not going to I'm just going to focus on myself entirely. You can have a little bit of both, right? With the harmony of the lovers, you can see there's a give and pull. There's, two sides to each coin. So with this, I'm just seeing that, yes, still give to your loved ones, make those boundaries. But in doing so, it's also going to be a cyclical thing. So you can still make time for both, but, a little bit of you need to give a little bit more to yourself and take a little bit back to find that harmony, because right now it's like extremes. The other thing with the Hanged One, like I said, there is that feeling of suspension. So it can also mean taking vacation days, getting out in nature, going on a trip, I don't know, whatever it is, there is this feeling of needing a vacation, needing some time off, needing to put some things aside so that you can heal, so that you can grow, so that you can do the things that you want to do to experience life to the fullest, that giddy feeling. I think that's a really great thing to start to embrace, that silly, fun feeling, because I think you need a little bit of that in your life with all of this heaviness that you've had to hold. So now with the final card here in the spread, it says it is what power of mind to call in. So you could see this as a power or something to call into your routine, but I also see this as like what you're going to gain most from this change up, from this shift. So let's see what comes in for you. Group 3, what do we have coming in here for group 3? Group 3, what do we have coming in for what you are going to be gaining in power from this, or to be gaining fully from this giddy feeling, from lightening your load, and from finding more of a peaceful balance and harmony? Okay, so we have Dabble. Interesting one with the Hanged One, because we were getting that silly feeling, that curiosity, and we got Dabble here with the Mallard Duck. It says, what would help me feel safe in opening up? So, like I said, there is, and you can almost see it like it's, oh, okay, I love when it does that kind of stuff. We have the moon here with two sides of it, and then we have one side of the moon, or the sun in this case, where it's very dark, very sheltered, and then you have the open, like I'm here for everyone kind of energy with the sun. And then the sun on the opposite side of this, right, you have the light to the light, the dark to the dark. You're allowing yourself to dabble with both of these. You can still hold people up, but you also need to be able to hold yourself up. And what does that look like for you? What does that mean that you need to change in your routine to make that happen, to make more space for you, to take up more space, and to allow other people to sort of help you along your path, right? You don't always have to be sort of the mother duck or the parent duck in this, kind of sheltering everyone along. You can be one of the little ducklings too. So I really, really like that so far for you. I think you're going to gain a lot of that freedom and curiosity to explore, because you're not having to hold so much pressure against it of like perfectionism or not wanting to fail or anything like that. You can just play around and see what happens. So I really, really like that. What would help you feel safe in opening up, though, is a question I think would be really useful for you to journal on and see where you're feeling like you have to hold everything up because you're not allowing yourself to explain your thoughts or tell people how you're feeling, on the flip side. So that might be something to explore as well that might be really useful to you. But we're going to look into two more cards here. For each of these cards, we're going to look into the Celtic Lenormand deck, and we're going to look at like very mundane things. So we've been looking at the bigger overarching energetics, but now we're going to look into like the more mundane, smaller details of the routines that may be changing and shifting in your life. And with these, we're going to take them very literally. So you'll see what I mean here in a second. So let's see, group 3, what is shifting and changing on a mundane, smaller detail-oriented level for group 3? Okay, so we have a few falling out here. I'm going to take those first two that we have. So the things that we have showing up here is we have the moon. So much moon energy, right? We have the moon cycles. We have sort of like the sun in the dark. We have a crescent moon here. We have more moon cycles showing up here. So there's something about the moon which has a lot to do with our emotions, also about our emotions usually being hidden, right? This is the full moon. This is when we allow ourselves to fully showcase who we are. But in this case, you have so many half moons. You have so many moons that aren't showing the full picture. So I think something that's going to be really useful to you is really talking to a friend, like taking off some of this load, is just to be able to vent and open up to someone. So definitely look into who that may be in your life, who would help you to open up. Maybe it's even someone who is sort of unrelated to the situation, with a therapist, a friend, someone that's maybe more of an acquaintance to you, and kind of letting that load off your shoulders a little bit. So I do see that with the moon. This can also just talk about moon gazing or using the moon in your magic or in your manifestations or other sorts of things that you may be working through. We also have the number 32 as well as the 8 of Cups, so see how that resonates for you. But the other card that we got here is the Owls. Again, a crescent moon. So we're going through like all the phases here. So you might be going through a lot of phases within your emotions because, like I said, when you bottle up emotions a lot, sometimes they just explode with a lot of phases. So it may just take a little while to really let all of that out. But the things that comes through with the Owls is, one, really wise communication, because the owls, or in general the birds, represent communication and how you communicate to people. So I think a really important thing for you to start doing is opening up in a very wise way. So right, opening up in a way that isn't explosive, opening up from a place of just needing to vent to someone, but then once you've vented, you can then come from a place of a more centered form of communication. Then we also have the 7 of Pentacles showing up here, as well as the number 12. 12 can represent 12 months. This may be something, like I said, with those phases that may take up to 12 months to finally have this come through. It could be 12 days. We also had 32, so it's really giving me more of that monthly feeling. So it's taking it month by month. So again, the moon is within the month, as in like an entire cycle takes 1 month with the moon phases. So it could even be, again, if you work in a more spiritual sense, something that might help you to open up is each month to sort of let go of your emotions, let go of some of that stress. Something I've personally been dabbling in lately is whenever I have a really harsh or very difficult like conversation, or where you feel really angry or really big emotion, I've been putting little knots in this braided piece of string, and at each full moon and new moon I release that energy. So sometimes that could be something that might be useful to some of you if it's not something you've tried before, looking into knot magic or other things. But we're going to leave it at that. Let's go ahead and pull your final card here, and then we're going to look into the smaller nuanced details to finish up the reading here with the charms. But before we look into this, if you have been enjoying this reading so far, it would help so much, and I would appreciate it so much if you could give this video a like. It really does help so much. But we're going to go ahead and pull an affirmation for moving through to these new routines. So group 3, an affirmation for group 3 here. All right, perfect. It fell even near the Hanged One, and it says balance over imbalance here. So this is about, it kind of makes me think of like a teeter-totter whenever I look at this, but it's about finding that balance, finding and shifting into that space, swinging back and forth until you find that perfect medium. So it's going to take time. It fell even near that 12 months. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. But I think that it's going to be well worth this new routine that you're going to be shifting into, where you allow your emotions to come through and you allow yourself to dabble in these new fun, lighthearted spaces, because you've had to be so sort of grown up in a way for so long. So let's go ahead and finish off the reading by looking into your bits and bobs, little details here with the charms. Feel free to send your energy in, and let's look into the routines that are shifting up and changing, the small details for group 3. Okay, so we have a few of them here. Not too many charms, honestly. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in. So, other things that I forgot to mention with the owls is you also might be bird watching or things like that might be coming through. And I forgot to mention that. But other things that are coming through on the dabble with the mallard duck, we have tradition. This is like a little ornament, which makes me think of traditions that you uphold, things that have been, I've done it forever, so I'm going to keep doing it kind of thing. But dabbling is all about curiosity, newness, wonderment, and being enchanted by the world again, and not just following along with the crowd because it's what we've always done, right? We see these wise owls, and they can also show that wisdom of the past or wisdom from an elder, but sometimes elders aren't as wise in the idea that we need a young, fresh perspective to change things up and to look at these traditions and realize what isn't working anymore. So I think that's really important, especially with a routine. But I think that opening up and not just stuffing your emotions down is going to be super important. But it might have been something that was a learned trait and might be something that you have to kind of dig to the root of to really make this change. We also got the solar plexus chakra, also known as an energy center, as it's something that I'm kind of moving away from, but if you do use those, then we have the solar plexus chakra showing up here next to the dabble, ballard duck, and the moon. So this is about enlightening that space, which we already kind of have happening here, right? We're going from that moon space, that curiosity space, and allowing that to shine a little bit more light in your life and into your routines. We also on the moon have the vinyl charm. So this being very specific to the moon is making me think of, like, obviously it can talk about routines, songs that we've heard a bajillion times, and just staying on that like a broken record. But in this case, it's making me think of like dance parties that you have at night, allowing yourself to get a little funky with those, maybe going out, something like that around music even, maybe allowing yourself to dabble with music in a new way, with dance or with sound around the nighttime scene. And then the last charm that we have here, and I think it's really interesting, is we do have the charm, and this one I always think of like as an hourglass. So this is like time ticking, time moving, time shifting. And it's like, are you going to use your time in that half cup, like a cup half full or a cup half empty? And it's just sort of depending on the way that you see it. And I think you're going to be shifting that perspective of feeling that load where everything is one way, and that's going to be shifting and turning the other way, so that other people you can communicate how you're feeling, so that other people can sort of lift that weight with you instead of against you. So those are all of your charms and cards here. I hope you enjoyed this reading. It was definitely a different format, but I enjoyed it so much, so I hope you did too. If you did, definitely be sure to give this video a like, as I mentioned earlier. It really does help the channel. And also let me know in the comments down below how this resonated for you, if you had specific charms or cards that really stuck out to you with your specific routines. I'd really love to hear, since this is so new. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on any sort of readings that you'd like to see in the future, as I'm still sort of playing around with new ones here and would love to hear your feedback. And if you are new to this channel, maybe this is one of your very first readings or something similar, then definitely feel free and consider subscribing to this space, as I do readings every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, monthly readings, 2-week readings, all different types of readings that you can check out and dabble in. So definitely feel free and consider subscribing. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to support yourself even further, you can check out my different offerings for snail mail readings, as well as the different spell paper I create. But also the Kindred tip jar is down below. As I mentioned earlier, it's a great way alongside the others to support this space, as it does help create more momentum for me to be able to get different decks and supplies to further and uplift this space as we go through. So definitely feel free to check all of that out down below in the description. And thank you so much for being here, for checking out your new routines and all of the other little messages that came through. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.